Wall Street's wild ride could be far from over as Reddit investors promise to keep pumping up GameStop when the market reopens tomorrow. Meanwhile, the SEC says it's keeping a close eye on the whole situation. Here to talk about some of the potential legal fallout is Securities Attorney and Northwestern University adjunct law professor Andrew Stoltman. He's also the author of Waging War on Wall Street. Andrew, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Should we expect a roller coaster ride for the stock market this week? More of what we saw last week?
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? I mean, the SEC hasn't stepped in to stop this calamity, so I would expect this sort of volatility to continue for as long as the SEC stays on the sidelines.
What should they do about it?
Well, it's real simple. Look, we have stock manipulation with respect to these stocks. And granted, they are small retail investors doing it, but it's still stock manipulation. It violates the 1934 Securities Exchange Act. So the SEC needs to step in and prevent it, investigate it, peel the onion, and find out what's going on and potentially even halt the trading in these securities, because this very clearly is stock manipulation. If it was being done by the hedge funds, everybody would say it was wrong and demand it be stopped. But because it's being done by the small investors, I feel like the SEC is saying, hey, that's okay. Let's see how this plays out.
Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren is sounding the alarm. I want to play this clip for you and get you to react to it.
They've turned this stock market not into a place where you get capital formation to support businesses, but more into a casino. We need a market that is transparent, that's level, and that is open to individual investors. It's time for the SEC to get off their duffs and do their jobs.
How do you respond, Andrew?
She's right. I kind of feel like we're witnessing the landing of the Hindenburg on the deck of the Titanic. This has been a disaster all the way around. It's a disaster for some of the hedge funds like Melvin Capital that have almost been wiped out. It's a disaster for Robinhood. And this sort of activity feeds the perception that there is, in effect, a bifurcated level for the big boys and for individual investors. And my biggest concern is that when the small investors sees this sort of craziness going on in GameStop and other stocks like this, that they're going to sit out. And that's a problem because we have a pretty big retirement crisis in this country. People aren't investing and they're not investing enough. And when we see this sort of volatility in stocks where the fundamentals are horrific, and that's what we're talking about with respect to GameStop, that it causes investors to say, you know what, I'm not going to dip my toe in the water and do what we know they have to do, which is invest so we don't have this retirement crisis.
Elon Musk on Twitter, let's put it up on the screen for you. He says you can't sell houses you don't own. You can't sell cars you don't own, but you can sell stock you don't own. This is BS. Shorting is a scam, legal only for vestigial reasons. Does he have a point, Andrew?
No, he doesn't. There's a very good reason why investors should be allowed to short stocks. There's a reason for it. But in the same sense, hedge funds have been abusing shorting of stocks for a very long time. And if you think about the carnage caused by these hedge funds, I think that's why so many people are so happy that these small investors are doing what they're doing. The Gilded Age robber barons have been crushed, right? And they've been crushed by the small investor who traditionally has been the gum on the bottom of the shoe for Wall Street. So shorting is okay, but when you're talking about manipulation of stocks related to shorting, that's where we get into problems.
We're nearly out of time, Andrew, but what's your advice to a little guy who may be watching thinking, I'm going to jump into it this week?
Don't do it. Just say no. Like Nancy Reagan would say, stay out and let this craziness pass.
Andrew Stoltman, we thank you for your time and your analysis. Have a great week, sir.
Anytime. Thank you.